All right, guys, Aggie football just happened. We saw our first glimpses of the 2025 team. We finally got to see KC Concepcion, and boy, did he give us a show. We saw Mario Craver. He got things going, man. One of the highlights of the outing. But it wasn't all smooth. It wasn't all great. You found yourself in a close game to start the third quarter after a 75-yard explosive run you gave up to start the half. And that was kind of the negative theme leading up to that point of the game. Run defense was not good for the first 2 quarters in one play of this game. But after you give up that touchdown, that might have been a defibrillator reviving the team, because you had 6 straight 3-and-outs from that point forward, and UTSA didn't get a first down until their last drive where they backdoor covered. I called the backdoor cover. I saw it coming. I knew they were going to keep coming at us. They even took the ones out and were still, calling timeouts, trying to get downfield. And good job, Jeff Traylor. You got it done. But I think there's good and bad coming out of a week one, like any week one. Now, I don't know what's definitive yet. We won't know until we see the team next week, and then ultimately versus Notre Dame. You might have a run-stop defense problem. That's a thread that could be something that goes forward, because you lacked outside contain at times. There were 3rd and longs where UTSA could just run the ball, spread it out, run the ball, and you just were not rigid enough up front to stop it. I felt like there were some good things about this defense. In particular, you didn't give up the explosive passing play, right? That was something from last year that we had to see get cleaned up this year. I think it was a little bit surprising that the run defense was so lackluster for a couple of quarters. I think it was probably worse than we would have anticipated. And give UTSA credit, right? Like we talked about it. That was always going to be at least a decent offense, and it was pretty dang good. They had a couple of sustained drives. They were winning some one-on-ones versus Will Lee and Tyreek Chappelle. They were getting things done there. But A&M settled in, and that felt pretty good. Let's go top to bottom here. Guys, comment your thoughts on the game. Comment, are you jumping off a cliff? Are you freaking out? I urge you not to, man. I mean, that was a week one for A&M too, right? Like, you have to get better over the course of a season. And I don't think we should have expected this defense to be magically fixed, particularly up front where you lose 3 players from the go. So we got to get better week to week. Offensively, Marcel Reed played pretty much as cleanly as you could have hoped for in a week one as the guy. And they absolutely force-fed this passing game. UTSA stacking the box. They're running like a 4-3 defense. 5 guys at the line of scrimmage, 2 linebackers. They were daring A&M to pass, and I think A&M was happy to pass in this game. We talked about the fact that A&M might just try to get this passing game going against a defense that was probably going to sell out against the run, and a running attack that's nursing back 3 of your top running backs from injury. And I think that they handled the Le'Veon Moss kind of reps very responsibly. I think he had maybe like 8 reps or so. Let me pull it up real quick. The running game for A&M, it felt really bad watching it. It felt really, really bad. But I think part of that is that they just faded the running game. They just were not going at it. Le'Veon Moss only had 3 carries. 3 carries, okay. 6.3 yards per carry. He had 1 pretty strong run. Ruben Owens had a pretty strong run of his only 5 carries. Marcel Reed had 8 carries. I'm pretty sure only 1 or 2 of those were designed. They were scrambles. Averaged 4.9 yards per carry. And those are your 3 leading rushers. Pretty decent averages. But beyond that, Amari Daniels with his 3 carries, only 3-yard average. E.J. Smith, 3-yard average. So those guys didn't do as well. But you didn't run the ball heavily this game. And I was wondering, where the hell is this running attack? They were trying to break in this passing attack, again, against the defense selling out against the run. And it worked out, man. It really did. It wasn't perfect every drive. This offense, I think, was a little bit sloppier than I would have hoped. I called for perfection in stupid Drew. You're not getting perfection in a week one. You're just not going to get that. And that's shame on me for even asking for that. Penalties, and quite frankly, the offensive line was a little bit sloppy in the first half of this game. Throughout the game, really, because there were some penalties that really slowed some drives down. But, man, I can't help but feel like A&M has the best receiver duo they've had since Kirk and Reynolds. That's just how it feels right now. It's early. It's one game. But, I mean, how much did KC do for us in his short time? I mean, he left the game pretty early. They rested him. He was kind of coming off gingerly after his last punt return, but in his time, he was electric. Game changer every time he touched the ball. First drive, first play, bubble to KC. Get him involved and get him involved right away. And then Mario Craver, man. Every time he touches the ball, you feel like he could do something crazy. And this guy's only 165. He's breaking tackles. Just so much yak on this team. The yak ability is crazy on this team. The return game, these guys, KC, Bussey got active in the return game after KC sat down, and he had some good stuff going. You just have so many guys that can do so many things with the ball in their hand. And that's this running game, with this running game not even clicking yet. I know there's some worry about the offensive line initially coming out of this game just because of the lack of running attack, lack of push. First of all, I just read you the stats. The yards per carry weren't terrible. You had a few good ones, and you really just weren't running the ball. And even if you want to call it a negative O-line game, and you can, it wasn't the best. It wasn't clean offensive line play, and I can't wait to go watch the film. Obviously, this is my emotional reaction, right? We're on the drive home to San Antonio. Shout out to the wife right here. But if you want to say the O-line wasn't great, that's fine. Let's see what it does next week. There's not nearly enough in this game to change my tune on the offensive line for the 2025 season. There's too much proven, known ability in this group from last season, too many returning players for me to even think that there's an offensive line concern about this team going forward. And I felt like Marcel Reed had a clean pocket pretty much, but maybe 1 out of every 10 passes he had something going on. He had time to throw, and I loved how he stepped up and used that pocket and sat in that pocket, and he truly used that kind of running threat as maybe his third, fourth, or fifth read on plays. Because last year, one of the things was he was tucking and run a little bit too quickly. He was kind of getting caught up in that decision-making. I felt like that was pretty good for Marcel this game, at least on my first watch. So, yeah, we're not leaving with these huge, like, oh my goodness, is this running attack not coming through this year? It's supposed to be. They're easing these backs in. The numbers are okay for the top guys. And we're not going to lose faith in this offensive line after one game. I will say, though, I did expect more. To be fair, I did expect more. Let's see next week. Utah State, you should be able to do even more next week. You should feel better now that you're broken in. Defensively, let's start with the good. I thought Torin York and Marcus Ratcliffe were all over the place on first watch, naked eye watching there. Those were the two standouts of the defense. I thought they did excellent in the game. Marcus Ratcliffe was filling gaps on time, being physical, being a dude. I wish he would have gotten that interception. He kind of collided with Tyreek Chappelle and didn't get the pick that he probably should have had. I thought those two guys were awesome. I don't know what happened in the running attack. I have to rewatch it, but it just felt like there was some gap failure. Was there just lack of rigidity by the D-line? What happened in these running attacks, specifically the plays on 3rd and long, where they could just spread you out and run for first downs? That has to be fixed. It did get fixed this game. It did. The response was fantastic defensively. I mean, we're sitting there starting the half. Think about halftime, right? You give up, what, like 160 in the first half, something like that, rushing yards? You know, in the halftime locker room, Elko, Bateman, everyone is grilling this defense, adjusting, talking about what needs to change in this running attack, this run-stop defense. In the first play, you give up 75 yards to the house. I mean, you just got grilled on that for a long time, and you're just going to give that up? That was what they needed. That was the shot in the arm. Because 6 straight 3-and-outs, that's a response, man. It is. And if it didn't happen that way, there were like 9 out of 10 scenarios that could have happened after that 75-yard touchdown pass would have left us feeling absolutely terrible about this game. But they absolutely locked in afterwards, and you didn't give up a first down until very late in the fourth quarter with your backups in. That's what it took for them to get the next first down. Shout out 12th man 12th man kickoff team. You got 11 walk-ons out there, and you stuff a kickoff. You kick it off low. You make it a fieldable kickoff. You've been kicking it out the end zone the whole game. You let them play. You risk it, and you get a big hit. You stop them. You tackle them. It's done. Shout out Elko for doing that. Our special teams is pretty nice, man. You got several options to return kicks. What else? Oh, Imperial March was played by the Fighting Texas Aggie Band. Wasn't that crazy, babe? That was wild. They haven't played that, as I've been told, since the Big 12 days when the opposing team was being announced at home games. That's the last time the Fighting Texas Aggie Band played Imperial March. The first time they played at this game was after a 3rd down stop, which was pretty sick. The second they stopped playing it, UTSA punts the ball. KC returns it to the house. It was surreal. It was electric. Star Wars, like original Star Wars trilogy, diehard fan. I was It was like my dream come true. It was amazing. But yeah, guys, we leave without truly definitive answers, right? We learn about our team, but we don't get anything definitive in the week one. Now you have a follow-up against a Utah State that should not be as tough of a matchup as a UTSA. And you see what you can do in that run-stop defense. You should be able to dominate this one. The game versus UTSA was one that I expected UTSA to have moments in, even with A&M's ones out there. Now, I think there were a little bit too many moments with the ones out there defensively for UTSA, or offensively UTSA, defensively A&M, that you would have hoped for. But you did clamp down and shut that door at the end. So that kind of made up for a little bit of that. And overall, it ended up pretty much being the game I expected. A&M stretching a lead, feeling comfortable at the end, and UTSA backdoor covering it. But of course, you get your surprises every single week one. That was a rambling, mind dump, emotional video without watching film, without hearing the coaches talk. I always drop those after the game. Y'all tell me if I'm crazy, tell me if I'm right, tell me if I'm wrong. That's how I'm feeling right now. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. My goal is to go live Sunday morning after I'm not going to rewatch the whole game, but I'm going to try to watch like the cliff note, like the condensed version of the game. I'll get back to you on some things, maybe take some calls Sunday morning. Be a new show we try to start doing here. And guys, let's buckle in for a fun season. I love these offensive weapons, man. I don't know. I'm still 9-3. I didn't see anything to change my prediction this game. I have us losing to Notre Dame because of the runnability of Notre Dame against what our question mark was that will continue to be a question mark. And I think the big thing is I don't think run-stop defense will ever be a strength of this team. But can A&M prevent it from being a glaring hole that loses you games? That's going to be like the defining storyline of this season, because I think Marcel Reed looked really good today. And he was one too, but he answered that call today. So guys, comment your thoughts, like, comment, sub. Thank you guys. See you soon. Gig 'em.